Hey folks, it's Tommy Z in the place to be with Studio Z and Academy. What a great start. Okay, but no, forget it. Hey folks, it's Tommy Z in the place to be. And today I want to give you a quick tip on how to do things that you don't want to do that you need to do. For instance, creative people, we hate doing outreach. We hate getting out there in the world, contacting people. So, can you avoid doing it? Well, no, you cannot. If you want to be a paid musical craftsperson, you're actually going to have to come out of your basement and contact some people and showcase your work. Now, the super helpful tip that I have for you on how to make it easier for you to do the things that you have to do is to actually engineer and design the conditions for you to want to do these things. And I have a few ideas on how you can actually make the process of reaching out to people, for instance, or bookkeeping, for instance, or whatever it is that you're resisting, how to make it easier on yourself. The first thing I want you to do is dig into the reason why you're doing this. You need to get to the why. Now, the why is not necessarily to get projects. Okay. I know that's the immediate why, but you really want to dig deeper to understand why is it that you want to get projects? The next why is like, I want to get projects is because I actually want to make a living with music. Okay. Why? Go a level deeper. Well, I want to make a living with music because I believe I owe it to my calling. I believe this is what I was placed on this earth to do is make music. So I want to do justice to my calling. Okay. Can you go even deeper? Why? Why do you want to do justice to your calling? Well, because if I don't, I would feel like I'm betraying myself. Why would you feel like you're betraying yourself? Do you see how we're going deeper and deeper and deeper? You might answer, why would I feel like I'm betraying myself if I don't actually make connections with the business to showcase my music? Because I know that in order to be a full-time musician, I have to confront my craft with a potential client, with the marketplace. And if I don't do this, I am betraying my calling. I am betraying myself and everything that I say that I want, right? So you see how we just went a few levels deeper than why am I emailing people because I want a project? No, I'm actually sitting down to email people because I'm answering my calling in a meaningful way. This is what has to be done in order for me not to betray myself and my calling. I don't know about you, but that's way more powerful already for me to move on than knowing that in my task list today, I have email 5 people. So whenever you resist, always remind yourself of the deeper reason. Ask yourself why 5 times before you sit down at a task that you naturally resist. And I found that the way to overcome the resistance very often is to get outside of yourself. You see, it's this voice inside of us that is uncomfortable with certain things that is often steering the ship. Now, if we want to achieve remarkable things in our life and work, we cannot allow this little prima donna voice inside of us who doesn't feel like doing something that is absolutely necessary in order for us to achieve our destination. We cannot let that little voice steer the ship. And so fundamentally, it's about getting outside of yourself and tapping into that bigger vision. Your musical calling is more important than even your mood or your sentiment or what you feel like doing or not doing. And speaking of transcending yourself and your own preferences and not making it about you, let's take again reaching out to people as an example. Instead of viewing it as sales, find a way that you could actually get excited about emailing or calling people. You know, the way I do that is I actually enjoy a good conversation with a fellow craftsperson. And in our business, what we teach our students is that you have to get in touch with music production companies and music producers within those companies. So these are people like me whose job it is to hire freelance musicians for projects. Now, these folks are not aliens. These music producers that you have to contact, they're folks like me. They're vibey folks. They're creative folks. They love to have a good chat with a great musician. So I want you to reframe the perception that you have around reaching out to people from I'm doing sales with strangers to No, I'm having a conversation with a new person. We might have some interests in common, and I'm going to turn this soul into a kindred spirit. Now, if you think about it that way, you're way more likely to sit down and reach out to a stranger, aren't you? I know I am. And that's why I like to remix that perception. Now, the next super tip that I have for you is I want you to turn these routines that are essential, like reaching out to people, I want you to turn these things into rituals that you're actually going to look forward to. I want you to create a chain of events that are actually going to elevate your energy. It could be doing 10 push-ups. It could be brewing yourself a cup of coffee. It could be putting on your favorite music. It could be lighting a candle. Let me light that candle. It could be lighting some incense. I'm about to burn myself. Ow, mother. Whatever it is, whatever raises your energy, I find this very helpful. Why? Because when you're reaching out to people, you certainly want to have an elevated frequency, elevated vibe, elevated energy. People are going to perceive, and trust me when I say this to you, when I email, standing up with my favorite jazz records on, with my candle going, with the lighting, with the sun hitting off my face, when I email from that place, the recipient can literally feel the energy. My emails are more spontaneous, they're more casual, they're more friendly, they're just more inspiring. My energy is also elevated. I'm feeling good, and the people I'm talking to are actually perceiving it. Just think about it this way. Do you want to go on another Zoom call with a stranger? I mean, that's hardly appealing, right? Are you giving the people that you're contacting a feeling that talking to you is actually going to be a pleasurable experience? That talking to you is going to elevate their day? You can do that in very subtle ways, and one of them is to make yourself feel good first. You can't give what you don't have. So before you go out there trying to pretend that you're giving out good vibes, actually create the conditions for you having good vibes. So that's the pregame ritual. Now, the next thing is to actually do the outreach, do the thing you're supposed to do. And I love one of the questions that my coach used to ask, which is like, what's the smallest possible thing that we could start with? And then I would say, yeah, let me email 10 people a day. And he'd be like, 10 people? Why don't we start with 3? You see, there's always a difference between what we think we can do and what we're actually going to do in the moment. So I want you to make the number of the people that you're going to outreach to, or the amount of things that you're going to do, whatever the ritual is, much smaller than what you think you're capable of. And I want you to rest confidently in the fact that we're doing this because we're actually going to do this daily. So it's going to compound. So we don't need to go crazy on any given day. We can smile, we can listen to our favorite music while the candle is on, and just email 3 people. And we're going to do that daily. And guess what? It's going to be enjoyable. And people are going to feel our positive energy. And that's going to do a lot more for the effectiveness of your outreach or whatever chore that you have to do. Doing it with a smile, doing it with an elevated frequency is going to be a lot more effective than trying to struggle through it, than forcing yourself through it. Forcing yourself and the people who are forced to be with you on a Zoom call. For instance, if I have a good coffee with me, I can get through anything. Sales calls, Zoom, spreadsheets, admin work, anything. So the essential lesson I'm trying to leave you with here is whatever things that have to be done that you resist, create a ritual that's going to make it not only easier, but actually enjoyable. And once you do those things, I want you to do a post-game ritual. I want you to reward yourself. I literally want you to reward yourself every time you do something necessary that may not be pleasant. Now, you've already made it easier on yourself by creating the conditions for you to actually enjoy the process, but I want you to celebrate the fact that you have done it. I want you to write it in your journal as a highlight. I want you to literally tap yourself on the back and say, hey, I have honored my calling today by doing the things that I resisted, but I did them because that's what pros do. And then do whatever kind of activity for 5, 10, 15 minutes that you love doing. For instance, I love plugging headphones into my Moog Sub 37. It's not even plugged into anything. I'm not recording anything. There's no strings attached. I just jam with it for a few minutes, just having fun and congratulating myself for committing to the things that must be done. Create a ritual that you will enjoy. Attach it to the things that absolutely must be done. And then celebrate. Celebrate doing the things that bring your calling to life. Folks, I hope this was helpful. And if you have any tips or ideas on how to turn the things that we resist into rituals that we actually enjoy doing, please put them in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.